Alright, so hey there guys, I know I haven't made a video on this channel in a while, hoping to go ahead and get back into 40k and wargaming things, at least at the YouTube side of things. I've been doing a little bit of wargaming here and there, kind of burned out with 40k around the start of 6th edition just because didn't really like the new edition. Still not a huge fan of it, but it's manageable now because there's actually Skyfire weapons in the game, which helps. Anyway, though, this is about the new Tyranid codex that came out, and a response to jakejumpover on one of the mini wargaming videos. He and I were having a little bit of a discussion. Just the point I was trying to get across was just a little too big to just fit in a comment. I think, even if you can like put movie scripts, I don't want to go ahead and put the whole wall of text. So I figured a video would be a lot easier, and I need to make content. So hey, whatever. Alright, so pretty much just he's under the impression that the old Tyranid codex, not the new one like the 5th edition one, was OP. Yeah. Now I understand that metas are different in like every area. Like, if you're like a casual gamer, which I'm pretty sure this dude's pretty casual because yeah. It sounds like he's playing in a more casual area because I'll just read the comment. Really? Dark Angels couldn't beat a good Nid army. Really? Dark Angels? Blood Angels couldn't. Basically, Marines couldn't. Space Wolves? Huh? Chaos Marines couldn't. Dual Lash Princes. Flying Circus. That's a good one. I'm not trying to sound like a dick, just, these are very, very weird things to be seeing. Anyway, the Nids were the best swarm army. Actually, Horde Orcs were. And basically I could beat any army with them. I've lost 1 of 20 games with them using the last codex. The fact that you only got 20 games in, once again, I'm not trying to sound like a dick, I'm just, pointing things out. The fact that you only got 20 games in with the previous codex, at least to me, I don't really think you have played the army enough, or played against good enough players if you're beating Marines with Nids, to actually know about Nids, if that makes sense. I've gone through 3 Tyranid armies. I had one in the end of 4th edition with Nidzilla. This one came out. I still tried using my Carnifexes. I converted them to Tyrannifexes. I was doing like the triple Trigon, like the triple attack thing. I was doing the God Hammer list for a while with like the Turvigons and the Hive Guard. Yeah, I went to a few GTs with Nids, and didn't do well at all because basically I'd be fighting Marines. So yeah, most of those were like ties, minor victories, or losses. 5th edition, I wound up selling my Nids, and then I made like a crappier Nids list. Not like crappy, like bad list. It was probably a better, solid list, but it was all like using secondhand models, and I think I made a video about it. It was like secondhand models and like just a shit ton of hot glue because I wanted to get stuff out and ready to play. So I did it like sort of like they were coming out of like a gestation pool or something. So I was like drizzling like thin things of hot glue and painting that up, and it looked pretty cool. But I sold that, so enough about my Nids. And then I was starting to think about making a new Nids list because like the new codex was coming out, and not very good. I also had like a small Gene Stealer cult for like a time, but it was Anyway, with this 5th edition codex, I've probably played about 50 something, around like 50 to 60 games with this codex. Just like testing out things. And then tournaments, I've gone, probably played like 30 in like tournament games with like competitive lists, so yeah. Also, just, I don't really consider myself a Tyranid player, but I mean, I play them a lot, so I guess, yeah. I have a lot of I've cycled through armies before, so yeah. But yeah, I'd say Tyranids and Orcs are probably the ones I know the most about. So yeah, alright, so here we go. Basically I'm just gonna go through all of the different, things, starting with, like, the HQs, down to the elites, the troops, the fast attack, the heavy support, and I'm gonna explain basically what makes them not OP. I'm just gonna go ahead and, like, straight up get this, though, get to the Doom of Malantai, because everyone, for whatever reason, seems to think he's OP. He's a piece of shit. He drops down if you're not, I mean, in 5th edition, he drops down if you don't have guys in tanks, which, if you're playing 5th edition good, why the hell don't you have your guys in tanks? Unless you're playing Horde Orc, but that's a whole other story. He drops down, he kills some dudes, he's toughness 4. Yep, and if I'm correct, his toughness does not go up with the guys that he absorbs. Let me just make sure about that. Psychic strength. Yep, his strength goes up, and his wounds go up, not his toughness. Just like everything in this Tyranid Codex, toughness 4 for something. You drop him down in a pod, he sucks up some dudes. He's strength 10. He has 10 wounds. It's like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Oh, you shoot a strength 8 weapon into him. Yeah, you shoot enough of those, he just instant dies. 10 wounds, yeah, that's real cool. Strength 10, that's real cool. One rocket can go ahead and, like, completely destroy this guy. He's a complete waste of 90 points. Much better option would be taking 2 zones in a pod. Sure, it's a little bit more points, but, you know, you can pop a Land Raider with that. You can, the point is, with 2 zones, they're actually a lot more survivable because, you know, you do need 2 rockets instead of 1 to kill them. They're more reliable for taking out Land Raiders. Personally, I prefer the 3 units of 3 units of 3 Hive Guard, so 9 Hive Guard. There we go. Bleh. Can't really speak today, but hey, whatever. It's a Wednesday. Whatever. Alright, so, going back, so we have the Hive Tyrant. He's almost mandatory. He costs 170 points. That's, like, ridiculous. The old Tyrant cost, I think, like, around, like, 100 or, like, 80 points. He was, like, dirt cheap. It was great. Now it's, like, 170 points. 170 points used to be, like, what a fully decked out Tyrant would be. And now it's just, you know, in the 5th edition codex, it's 170 points. And, 5th edition, he was pretty crappy, but you could do some decent things, like you could have Flyrants, Dock of Flyrants, which is like the 2 Twin Lake Devourer thing. But, the other thing that you could do with, the Tyrant, at the start of 6th edition, I saw this a lot, was the, Gun Battery Tyrant. It's basically you make like a Death Star Tyrant, you give him, shell, regeneration, so he has like that 2+, and like he's like constantly getting his wounds back, he's really hard to kill, he's really hard to damage. Then you give him 3 Tyrant Guard. Then you take a Tyranid Prime, you give him like a Bone Sword and a Lash Whip, so he like reduces everyone who gets in close combat. You give him regenerate so that he's like, you know, not dying. You attach him to the unit because the Tyrant Guard with the Brood becomes its like own separate unit, not an independent character. In fact, I actually don't think. Yeah, the Hive Tyrant isn't actually an independent character, so he couldn't join. It's a little weird. He's yeah, the Hive Tyrant wasn't an independent character, so he couldn't join like giant mobs of Gaunts. You could only have him join the Guard Brood. But yeah, basically you go ahead and you put them all together, and you give them like old adversaries, so everything within 6 inches has preferred enemy, which is reroll 1s, I think, to hit. And then you put your 9 Hive Guard, or you take your like 2 Tyrannifex, 9 Hive Guard, and you pop them around him. That gets real shooty. That's real killy. Sort of. It's not as good as you think, but it's better than you'd expect, if that makes sense. But yeah, Tyrant, 6th edition, you know, you either do that, or you do the double Dock of Flyrant, or like the double, like, weapon cannon, wow, flying venom cannon, you know, the flying cannon. It's okay. Vector strikes are scary as hell with them. But once again, you know, for the points that you have to put in to make them actually good, you could get a Terminator squad. Yeah. Like if you're playing Marines, one Hive Tyrant is worth usually like 1.5 Terminator squads. And like 3 Terminators can easily go, like 3 Thunderhammer Storm Shield guys, they can kill a Tyrant. You put him in with like, 2, cause that's the thing, he's initiative 5, which is good until, you have to assault into like cover or stuff like that, cause you don't have grenades. That's another thing. He's got some decent psychic powers. The old codex was definitely not OP, but the good thing was they had biomancy, which was, it was still a 1 in 6 chance that you get something good, or the thing that's really going to help out your list. It was really hard to tailor your list to your psychic powers. Swarm Lord. But that's the thing though, having biomancy was not OP, because a shit ton of armies had biomancy. It was just like another tool that was, once again, it just made it viable. It was like, oh cool, the Hive Tyrant can take biomancy, he's a little bit more worth his points, but not really. The Tervagon, that's basically a troop choice, so I'll cover that later on. Swarm Lord. So he's 280 points. He's like a slightly more expensive, slightly less expensive Hive Tyrant, depending on the kind of one that you want. He's a close combat monster. He gets killed real fast. He only has 5 wounds. Now, you might be saying, oh, well, the Hive Tyrant only has 4 wounds. Yes, but the thing is, it's a freaking Hive Tyrant. You're usually going to have 2 Hive Tyrants, or you're going to have a Hive Tyrant with a Tyrant Prime with, like, the guard, so it won't, like, matter. Swarm Lord, you only got 1 Swarm Lord. They take him out, you just lost 280 points. Usually he's going to be your Warlord. Yeah. Not very good, in my opinion. He's fun. He's a lot of fun, but, like, for competitive lists, in this codex, you kind of just needed the double Flyrant or the, Doomsday Tyrant, is what I call it. Tyranid Prime, he literally existed just to either lead like a unit of 20 Gaunts across the board and like tie up some stuff, if you want to use 20 Gaunts to get a Tervagon, or you just attach him. He was not very good. Parasite, I mean, he was fun, but not very good. Parasite of Mortrex, it was a lot of fun. I played a few games with this guy. Yeah, the way that you basically play him is you fly him around the battlefield, and then you, like, strike at shit that you think you can kill with, like, gargoyles and stuff. Then they explode into rippers, you run those rippers as, like, a screen almost. It's a lot of fun, but you need a lot of ripper bases, and yeah. Okay, so now going on to the elites. The mandatory elite choice, Hive Guard. If you're not running at least 2 units of 3 Hive Guard, or 3 units of 2 Hive Guard, you're playing Tyranids wrong in 5th edition. That being said, into 6th edition, they became a little less mandatory, but there wasn't anything really good other than maybe the Doom, who I already told you guys about the Doom. He's not very good. But like Zoanthropes were actually pretty decent, except for the fact that everything in 6th edition then had Deny the Witch. So it's just like the Zoanthropes like, I'm gonna Warp Blast you, and they're like, we don't believe in your psychic powers. And like he's like, oh, okay, sorry. Like they roll 6. It's like, like the Zoanthrop, you'll get like your big like blast one, your Warp Blast off, and like looks like you can like kill like a big unit of guardsmen. They're just gonna be like, Deny the Witch. They get like the random 6, and it's just like they're just like, And Zoanthrop's just like, oh damn it guys, screw you, you're assholes. And yeah, that's basically what happens. So Zoanthropes were a little more useful because there's more infantry running around, but a little less reliable than they already were with like psychic hoods and shit. So Hive Guard were still pretty much the way to go. Around 6th edition, I went from 9 to using 6th, or 6 of them. Lictors, you can take 3 of them and they run around. Not really good unless you're playing pods, and they don't stack, so. Death Leaper, no. You don't use him. The new one, though, he gets us, Death Leaper's okay because he gets you snapshots on him, but do you really need to kill Death Leaper that badly? Sure, he's weapon skill 9. Nothing in the game needs weapon skill 9. He's ballistic skill 3. He's not going to be shooting you. I don't even think he has a shooting weapon. Yeah, he doesn't even have a shooting weapon. He has flesh hooks. I don't think those are a shooting weapon. Those are the things that allow you to move up terrain and stuff. He's initiative 7, he has 4 attacks. The thing is, though, he can't kill a lot, so he's just going to be like an assassin. And he's 140 points for an assassin. That's useless. Like, that's just way too many points. Venom Throbes. They were actually the thing that I used at the start of 6th edition with, like, the more swarmy stuff. Personally, I love Venom Throbes. They're basically like KFFs. Problem is, though, the Toxic Miasma stuff. First of all, they sound cool, like, in the book. The Venom Throbes, they're not very good on the tabletop. Usually I'd take, like, a unit of 3 of them and walk them with, like, a big-ass unit of Gaunts to, like, give them cover. Or, like, I was, like, trying to use Carnifexes at one point, and it just didn't end well. They're cool, they're fun, not very competitive. Pyrovores, it's basically a bad 45-point joke. It's a heavy flamer that's really slow, and he sucks. That's all you need to know about the Pyrovore, and he dies, like, really quick, because he's toughness 4, and he has 2 wounds, so it doesn't even matter. And he has a 4-up save, so Marines just shoot at it, and it dies. Genestealer, Ymgrals. I use these a lot, actually, in 6th edition. I just take a big 10-man unit with, the 2 3-man Hive Guard things at the beginning of 6th. Tried at the beginning of, like, 5th when the codex first came out, I just couldn't get the hang of them. They're okay in certain forms, but they're 23 points a model, it's overpriced. Tyranid Warriors. You don't use Tyranid Warriors, they're just not good. Sure, you can give them, like, Bone Swords and stuff. The thing is, it's 30 points a guy. You give them, like, Lash Whip and Bone Sword. They go 45 points. Then you're gonna want to give them a Venom Cannon, one of them. Because, you know, why else would you be using Warriors? That's the thing, only one of them can take the Venom Cannon. It's not, like, for instance, if it said for every 3 you can take a Venom Cannon, these guys would be good. But no, it's like 1 Venom Cannon. So the thing is, if you want to take them for, like, an anti-thing, like an anti-tank style thing, you only have 1 shot. Yeah. You want to go ahead and take them, fast? Well, you can't take wings anymore, there's a Shrike. To be completely honest, Shrikes are probably a little bit better than Warriors, and both of the units are pretty shit, so. Genestealers. They're fun. They kill things. They die a lot. Because, yeah, it's like, with Termagants, what happens is, Termagants, they run around, nobody shoots at them for the most part unless they're, like, on an objective, because Termagants are gonna do shit. Genestealers, they're gonna mess your day. They're gonna mess up your day, like, bad. So people shoot at Genestealers, and AP5 Marine Bolters kill Genestealers, yeah. Basically, Marines kill everything in this damn codex. So do Guard. And then if you tailor your list to that, Horde Orcs and Tau are just gonna table you. In 5th. And then in 6th, Tau still table you. My Ascetic Spore was, like, a really good thing, actually. It was fun to, like, put, like, 30 or 20 Gaunts with Devourers in a pod, and just drop them down and be like, pew pew, pew pew, gotcha. But, you can give it a Venom Cannon, that was actually a lot of fun. Really no point, though, because, you know, those things do die pretty quickly. Once again, like, everything in the Tyranid Codex, if your opponent wants it dead, it's gonna die. So then you have, your Gaunts, you take 10 of them, and you get out your guy. You never swarm them, because they're easy kill points, and they're a waste of points. Hormagaunts. Yeah, really not very competitive, they're pretty shitty. It's like a crappier version of a Gaunt, because it can't shoot, and it can't hold objectives well, like, well at all. And it's like an extra point. Ripper Swarms, they can't hold objectives, I don't mean like they're bad at it, I mean like they actually can't, because they're swarms. They're fun if you're playing like a Ripper theme list, but other than that, though, really not competitive. Shrike Brood, pieces of shit, not competitive. And they're 5 points more than a warrior. Raveners. Raveners are fun, not competitive. You can use them like a Trigon themed list. I did that once with 3 units of 9. I had to borrow, 9 of my friends, and it was a lot of fun. I also think I proxied in like 6 warriors and like 3 Terminators. Yeah, I only ever had 7 Raveners, and one was like the Red Doom, or like the Red Menace guy. Actually, I think I have still like 3 Raveners lying around somewhere. I should probably go try to find them. Sky Slasher Swarm Brood. Useless. It's flying rippers. Gargoyles. Just take freaking gargoyles. Gargoyles. Take a big 30-man unit or 20-man unit and just throw it at your opponent. That's what gargoyles do. They are a tie-up unit, they're a tar pit, and they actually manage to shoot and kill things surprisingly well. It's like they're faster gaunts for like 1 extra point. I think they actually got like a 1 point points drop in the new codex, which is really good. Harpy. A lot of people in 6th edition were like, oh my god, the Harpy is gonna be amazing. It wasn't. It really wasn't. It comes onto the board, and like they skyfire it to death and it dies. And now enough things in the game have skyfire that if you took a Harpy in 6th edition, it just died. 5th edition, nobody was taking the Harpy because you either needed the gargoyles or you just didn't have the points. Spore Mine Cluster, no point in taking that. I don't understand why that's under fast attack, but there's no point in taking it. It's useless. You have Biovores for that. Heavy Sport Carnifexes, it's a 160 point joke, and it was also a giant kick in the balls to every tiered player, because the Carnifex used to be like amazing. Now you can take 9 really shitty Carnifexes instead of 6 awesome Carnifexes. Yeah, Old One Eye, he's a single Carnifex. He's 260 points for basically the stat line of a +1 leadership, +1 strength, which you don't actually need, because you're rolling 2d6 for armor pen anyway. Basically, he gets +1 strength, which isn't helping. He gets no extra wounds, no more toughness or anything like that, no more attacks. He gets leadership 8, which doesn't matter, because he's not Synapse. But it means, he's less likely to go around crazy, but you want him to go crazy, because, yeah. But yeah, he's basically 260 points. He's an extra 100 points from base Carnifex, and he doesn't do 100 points more than a Carnifex. He does the same thing a Carnifex does, get shot at and die. I've played the seriously, trust me, I've played the 2500 point 9 Carnifex, thing. It's useless. They all die. I think I got 2 across the table. I was borrowing a buddy's 2 Carnifex, but you get them across the table, and then 2 of them get there, 3 of them get there, horribly mangled, and they get into combat and they just wreck anything they touch, and then they're out of combat and they get shot up. So it's really not that good. Trigon, 5th edition, they were really, really good. 6th edition, everything went over to the Tyrannifex, I feel. Trigons were cool, but once again, if your opponent, you might be saying, whoa, toughness 6 wounds, oh my god, you're initiative 4, they're going fast. Strength 6, on a monster's creature, strength 6 is eh. I mean, look at your Carnifex, he's got a strength 9, you got your Hive Tyrant with his, strength 6, oh, but he's weapon skill 8, this guy, he's weapon skill 5, with strength 6. Yeah. He's not really gonna be killing tanks. You can kill, AV-12 somewhat reliably. That's about it. You can give him regenerate, it's useless, because he's not gonna... He has 6 wounds, but they're not really worth regenerating. Too many points. And it's gonna make people want to fire him more. You can give him a Trigon Prime. Usually if I was running 3 Trigons, I'd make 1 a Prime, just so that way he could do the Synapse thing. Or if you want to go ahead and do the burrowing thing with the Raveners, which I've done a few times, you take a Trigon Prime, you burrow him up, and then you shoot the crap with his super chest cannon that the Prime gets. It's a lot of fun. I'd say competitive lists would probably be 2 to 3 Trigon and 5th edition, and 6th edition 2 to 3 Tyrannifex. Moloch, it's not very good. Too unreliable. It's basically a Graboid from Tremors. It's actually a hell of a lot of fun. I've played, I was, practicing in my Trigons as Molochs, so I tried, a 3 Moloch game. I ate a Land Raider. Just out of pure luck. I scattered off of where I was trying to go, and landed underneath the Land Raider. And then it landed in difficult terrain, and, impassable, and it took, the hits instead. It was fun, but nah. Tyrannifex in 6th edition, this was really actually decent. It's 2 up, so he's not gonna get killed by missiles. Unlike Trigons, who basically they just die fast once you hit them with missile launchers and anything that's AP 3 or 2. Tyrannifex, to really kill them, you need to they're like a tank almost. You need to take out them with las cannons. they're usually getting they're usually going to be whoring up like a 5-up armor save. You put them with your little like Death Star, like the Death Mobile thing, not the Death Mobile, the like the gun battery tyrant, and he's re-rolling ones. He's ballistic skill 3, so he's hitting like half the time. But the ones does help. You don't have a lot of shots though. That's the big problem with this guy. So that's why you need like 2 to 3 of them. Personally, 5th edition, I hated the Tyrant effects. I thought it was such a stupid thing. I was like, this looks cool. Oh, it's supposed to skill 3. It was like a really expensive doc effect that just didn't do what the doc effects used to, not doc effects, gun effects. That didn't do what it was like used to do. There is a way of playing these. Usually use regens, that way they don't die a lot. Let me think. You take I don't know, Desiccator, Larva, or Shredder Shard beetles. It's up to you. You don't need to take them, usually, because he's not going to be using them. For his weapon, a Rupture Cannon's, if I remember what a Rupture Cannon is, 1 second. I think the Rupture Cannon's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's the 48-inch Strength 10 Assault 2, so you have 2 shots at 48 inches. That's the one that you want. Because the one he usually comes with is, I think, just like a Stinger Salvo? What is it? No, it's Acid Spray, which is like a little shitty flamer. Never mind. Yeah, you want that Rupture Cannon, because that's what makes him good. Then you can replace the Salvo with Cluster Spines. He's got a lot of free upgrades, not really sure, it's like, it's whatever you want for those, but I'd say give him Regen and Fleshboar Hive. As for the 5th edition versus the 6th edition, like, good codex, they stayed very much the same. The only real difference was you replaced the Trigons with Tyrannifex. It was usually usually 2 Flyrant, or like a Flyrant and a Death Star Tyrant, or just a Death Star Tyrant. And then you'd take, in 5th edition, you'd take, like 9 Hive Guard or 6 Hive Guard and like the Doom or like zones. 9 Hive Guard usually was like the more solid way to go. Maybe like 6 Hive Guard and Zonethropes in a pod. The troops were almost always the same. 2 to 3 10-man units of Termagants, and then 2 to 3 Tervagons. Or if you're only going the 2 Tervagon route, sometimes you'd go like 15 or 20-man units of Termagants, just that way they're not dying constantly and giving you kill points in like a kill point objective tournament. Fast attack, you take like a unit of like 20 to 30 gargoyles, and yeah, you just throw them. They're like, crap, we gotta kill those things, otherwise they're getting shooting off of us. Heavy support, like I said, it used to be like you take like the 2 to 3 Trigons. Like you take like a Trigon Prime with like regen and like 2 Trigons or something, or usually just people would just take the 3 Trigon. 6th edition, it went from like using usually 3 Trigon to like 2 Tyrannifex and like a unit of Biovores, just because they were shooty, and anti-infantry. The thing is though, it's like the things that won tournaments were like the Godhammer list. You can actually look up, I think Zillion did a video on it. I'll link it, if I can find it, I'll link it in this, like his Godhammer list. Basically, it's, he puts it really well. There's not a lot of synergy, you just throw shit at people. That's what it does. It's just a lot of, like, problems with where do they shoot. Your opponent doesn't know where to shoot, but the thing is, you play a good Nids player with that good list, and then you play a good any player with their good list, they're gonna know how to beat it. Now, I'm just gonna completely say this right now, if, there's any Chaos Marine players in 5th who couldn't beat 5th edition Nids, that's just stupid. Because Chaos Marines in 5th, you do like the double Prince who could actually tangle with like a Hive Tyrant and stuff. You just have them lash things around. It's like, oh, you flew 12 inches? Well, I'm gonna throw you back like 2d6 or 3d6, however much lash was. I used to play those, I always loved that. Problem with lash was everyone would like bitch and be like, oh, that's not how it works, it actually works like this. It's like, no, read the codex, read the FAQ. Screw you dick. Anyway, sorry, Demon Princes with lash was like a whole other thing where people would just always try to like reverse cheat whenever you use it on them. They're like, that's not how it uses it, works like this. It's like, no, I'm gonna go ahead and bunch your guys up and obliterate or blash them. They're just like, no, you're cheating. It's like, no, I can do this. It says it in the book. Getting off topic. Yeah. Dark Angels, the new codex actually came out. not really sure about them. I've never really seen Dark Angels in tournaments too much. I used to see like a lot of Deathwing, as like Deathwing or Ravenwing used to be like the only things you'd see in tournament. Ravenwing not so much. Deathwing, yeah, you play Tyranids against Deathwing, you're not really coming out on top there. You're gonna have like a lot of trouble getting out of the you're gonna have like a lot of trouble getting them out of their Land Raiders, and then on top of that, you're going to have a lot of trouble killing their 2+ armor save guys with shooting, which forces you to get into close combat, and then like you're not gonna be able to generate enough attacks to take out 5 of them, and then they're getting like 10 power fist attacks at you, and you're dying. Ah, sorry about that. I was just taking a drink. Against Blood Angels. Blood Angels were basically like Space Wolves with like the whole Razor Angel, Razor Wolf thing. Blood Angels weren't as bad as Razor Wolves because they didn't have as many, they didn't have Jaws of the Road Wolf, but they still had just as many, if not more, las cannons and rockets, so pretty much the same kind of thing. Razor Wolves, they were just taking like las cannon plasmas, they were taking like double las cannons, split fire long fang units with like plasma cannon to take out the swarm, or like 4 rocket launchers that just take your stuff out, or like 4 las cannons. A bunch of nasty stuff. Competitive Space Wolves, Nids really just couldn't beat. Chaos Marines, yeah, I've been over that. Generic Marines, you go ahead and play like, retard Ultramarines. Yeah, Nids can win, it's like, oh, Marnius Calgar and his like, his like honor guard. It's like, oh yeah, that's cool. That being said, you want to go ahead and play against good Ultramarines, you're gonna be up against, like, a good Ultramarine list is usually, this is just stupid, but like, this is like, to give you an idea, this is like a list that does horrible in most things. It's not like a great list. It's a for fun list. You take this for fun list against the competitive Tyranid list, it's getting wrecked. Basically, you take Marnius, you take Chaplain Cassius, and then you take a bunch of Honor Guard, because, like, you take the full squads of Honor Guard, you can make as many as you want, because you have the, what's his name? Marnius Calgar. You build your army out of Honor Guard, and like 2 Scout Sniper squads or something, I don't know. It's not a very good list. Tyranids actually struggle against it, because it's a bunch of Relic Blades that you're going up against. Your monster creatures are just getting destroyed, because they can like suddenly attack you at better strength. But yeah, the thing is, like, on top of that, they got hard countered by Tau, before Tau got good. They got hard countered by Orcs, surprisingly, because if you go ahead and set yourself up to fight anything mech, Horde Orcs just wreck you. Or if you're like, oh, I have like a well-rounded army, you're not going to be able to get enough shots out to take out a Horde, you're not going to be able to get enough shots out to take out their tanks. So yeah, from what I can tell, dude, like, I'm not trying to sound like a dick here, but it doesn't seem like the area that you're playing in is very competitive, or that it's a lot of experienced players. Yeah, I feel like, most of the people I've been seeing who say, oh, the old one was OP, were like newer players to 6th edition, who just didn't know how the different armies worked. Not saying that you are, I'm just saying, But like I said, meta's different in most places. I'm up in like the Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York area, mostly. I think the farthest I ever went for a tournament was in Baltimore, Maryland, for a games day, like 2 games days. So yeah. But yeah, basically, I really just don't understand how, Nids in the old book are really that OP. If you have any questions, I guess just comment here, yeah. And I'd just like to go ahead and see, like, what you, like, I'd like to go ahead and see what type of list you were using that you did so well in, and then the types of lists that your opponents were using. So if you could just go ahead and, like, post them either here or on, like, the mini wargame video, that'd be awesome. Just because, I'd like to go ahead and get an idea of the kind of games you're playing, or if it's, like, competitive or not. Alright, so, as for everyone else watching this video, I'll probably make, like, a terrain video pretty soon. I've been working on some cool stuff. I got, like, the display board going. So yeah, see you guys.